your teammate, fellow Olympic champion Brendan Rodney was here. And I'm like, who is the best relay team in Canadian history? Your relay team that just won gold in Paris or 1996 Atlanta, anchored by the great Donovan Bailey. Brendan took that thing and he dunked it, and he's like, we are.
You asked the right guy.
I really did. And then you said, listen, Donovan Bailey might come out of retirement if he sees what we're talking about. I said, do not show DB this tape. Do not. But Aaron, somebody showed Donovan Bailey our tape. Or I just like to say he's a fan of Trackside. He's a friend of the show, but I don't know after this. But check this out.
Here we go.
I love those guys, and ultimately, I'm always going to be supportive of them. But the fact is that you're actually having a conversation about comparing yourself to a team that's 30 years ago is a little crazy. Every single major championships that I went to, I was actually having a cigar and champagne the weekend before the relay. So if they're going to mention my name, then they need to understand that they're talking about the greatest at that time, the greatest of my generation. I was asked this question last week, and I realized that Jake Paul fought Mike Tyson, right? So here's the thing. For $40 million, I'll get the boys back together.
That's a lot of money. But, I pay homage to the OGs, okay? So I understand Donovan. He was the man in his heyday, and I give him all the respect. We all looked up to him when we were younger, so it's hard to compare eras. It's just like basketball, comparing like LeBron James to Michael Jordan to Bill Russell. Like they all dominated in their own way. So I'm gonna be political here, and I'm gonna say we're both great in our own right. And it's a different vibe too. Like when we won, it was unexpected. Right. We came out of nowhere. We didn't have the individual success. Lane 9, right? Nobody counted us in, and the only ones that believed was us. When it was in '96, they were the favorites. They came off the gold the previous year, and I believe they won 3 golds in a row. They went 95, 96, 97, so they were a little bit more dominant. Donovan had times, throw his finger in the air, and I think that's the argument a lot of people made in the comments, was that they slowed up at the end, so they could have been even faster. But my counter argument to that is me and Jerome messed up the handoff, so we could have been faster too. So there's always all the what ifs and all the different scenarios that you can play out, but that's the fun of it, and it's a debate for a reason because we're both great, and it's hard to compare different eras.
I like that you say that they're like 2 different teams, 2 different eras, because this was such a passionate topic online, like YouTube, Instagram. People were like, no, 96. No, you guys have the records, you guys have the medals. And so people were like, it's you. This is what I will say, because people were like, Perdita, you haven't weighed in yet.
Yes,
I
please.
haven't. But what I will say is this. There's something about, and I think I said it last week actually, there's something about being the very first team to do it. There's something iconic about that. For sure. There's also what our writer and our researcher Neil brought up to us, which is true, and I was thinking the same thing. It's they did it to the Americans in their own backyard. So if you're of a certain age, there's just something about giving it to them in their own, home turf. And I think that's what makes that team so iconic. And then you have, obviously, Donovan being the Olympic champion at the time. It's just like such a huge storyline. But you guys have the medals. You have the record. You have the longevity. I mean, 40 million on your head tops, though, is like,
that's a lot
crazy,
of money.
Right? We're going to go broke and bankrupt for Donovan Bailey.
Yeah, right. I want to know how are they splitting that up? Is that all going to Donovan, or the other boys get some love too, or how's that working?
Donovan's going to keep it all for himself. But let me say this. For $40 million, I don't think there's a youth serum or an anti-aging pill that's going to help their hamstrings and their joints. It's been 30 years. It has been 30 years. So I think they're going to stay unretired, and I think we'll leave that era and your era 2 golden eras. Can we say that?
I agree. And you know what? They passed the baton to us. We have it now, and we're going to pass it to the next generation. It's a beautiful thing. As long as Canada's on top, we're all winning.
But I know DB pretty well. Have a lot of respect for him. I know he likes to have the last word. So I'm wondering, Aaron, if you would like to look to camera and either challenge or invite Mr. Donovan Bailey, Olympic champion versus Olympic champion, to a fight, a duel, just a debate. Let me not get crazy. Just a debate. Would you like to invite him on to have a conversation?
Listen, Mr. DB, I have much respect for you. Looked up to you when I was a kid. I remember seeing you in a textbook, and that was my introduction to track and field. I thought you were the fastest man in the world, and at a point you were. You had the world record. But this is a different arena. We're not talking about track. We're talking about debating. You know what? I'm a young gun. I'm up and coming. I'm still getting my feet wet. But I back down from no challengers. So if you want to come up in here, Trackside, have a debate, love to have you on. Just know I won't take it easy.
You're not going to take it easy on him.
No, not at all.
I like that. DV, open invite, my friend. Come on in. Aaron and I, we got you. We got you. Who's the best? You decide.